What's up? We're live. Jesse, what's up, my boy?
How you doing, man?
Good to see you, bro.
Good to see you.
Happy you're on the pod, man. You're on in the making of.
We'll see.
Here, take this pillow, bro. A
Yeah.
little back. So, guys, just as a little context, Jesse and I met when I was at my previous firm, and he was at a VC working at his startup. They're not backed by the VC, but just working in New York. So yeah, he's building a startup called Bidflow. But Jesse's originally from Maryland,
Virginia.
Yeah, Virginia, and yeah, he's done some cool startups. So he's working on Bidflow right now. But happy to have you on, my man.
Yeah. Would love to, introduce myself a little bit. I am, 19 years old to start with. I'm from Virginia.
Yes, sir.
And I dropped out of college after my first year to do a startup. So I went to this, pretty prestigious high school in Virginia called Thomas Jefferson. Some of you guys might have heard of it. And that's kind of where I, picked up a lot of, technical skills, picked up my interest in, tech and doing something big. And, in college,
What was it in high school that you actually picked up? Like, I think I've heard of Thomas Jefferson. It's a good public one, or a magnet, is it?
It's a magnet school. It's a very STEM-focused school.
Okay.
And, what I mostly built there was like, I guess, ambition to go out and, work in some tech adjacent thing. And I also built a lot of technical skills. So, coding. I was practically a nerd back then. Yeah.
Still are now. But yeah, what did you like? Okay, so you're what, 17? Did you have like a plan on like, hey, like I want to go to like how were your grades, like SAT, like what did you think about? Like were you like obviously you went to Maryland, which is a great school, not like a Harvard or anything, but what was kind of your decision in going there?
Yeah. So, I actually got, pretty unlucky with my college apps. Like my grades were like honestly mediocre. SAT was like in the 15, 20 range. But, because I went to a very competitive high school, it was like very hard for me to like stand out compared to most of my peers. And, I had some, pretty good awards and extracurriculars, but,
What was the best one?
I was like top 1% programmer in the United States. Yeah, I'm not that much good anymore. I used to be though. But yeah, that happened. Then college decisions came out. I applied to obviously schools like Harvard, MIT, um, Berkeley, Stanford, and all of them rejected me. And I even got rejected from my own state school, UVA.
Oh wow.
I got to Virginia Tech, which is the second best school in Virginia. But there's also Maryland, and Maryland is better for computer science. I wanted to, you know, get a big tech job at that point, and I thought Maryland was going to be good for me.
Yeah, that's great. So ended up going to Maryland. What was kind of your plan then? Like, had you done anything entrepreneurial? Like, did you have any like good jobs growing up? Like, whether that's side hustle or anything, like what did you do?
Yeah, so this mostly my entrepreneurship drive mostly started in senior year, so second semester senior year. I first started off working at like a tea shop.
Okay.
And then I was also like tutoring kids for coding, and that's kind of where I was like, okay, like honestly, I kind of like doing my own thing instead of like working under someone. And so I decided to make like a very, you know, I guess like a fake startup at the end of senior year where I was like just trying to like build something out and like see how it goes. Um, Unfortunately, there was like actually no product market fit. I didn't actually know how to run a business, but it was just like a good first introduction, and it just got me excited too.
What was it?
It was like some like financial thing. Honestly,
That's big.
yeah, it's a AI financial terminal. So it was like a trading terminal, like Bloomberg terminal, but it was supposed to be for like retail traders, and it'd be like AI powered insights, but it was very not validated by the market. I just came up with it because I was like, oh, this seems pretty cool.
Yeah, dude, that's pretty sick. It's crazy to think though, like when you're in high school, ChatGPT was a thing, right?
Yeah, I actually use it for some of my essays. And yeah,
They're coming back. They're either gonna revoke your high school diploma right now.
listen, when ChatGPT first came out, I actually, used it to write an essay and I ended up getting caught. So I I'm more wise with like how I go after that kind of stuff.
I love how now in the real world it literally doesn't matter. Like unless you have a blatant like, yeah, like even then like I can tell pretty much everything's written by ChatGPT now.
Exactly.
I just like don't even care.
Yeah.
So wait, you built that, you like had a product. Did you try to sell it to anyone?
Well, we couldn't even like finish building the product because me and my co-founder at the time, we had like a conflict, and we were,
What happened?
basically like we had some disagreements with like the future of like how we want to move the company, like
Yeah.
equity and all that other stuff, like the vision and you know just those type of bigger things. And because we had that misalignment, and also I was going to college, and it just didn't seem like that was the right time to do it.
Yeah. So you kind of scrap that. You're going into Maryland now. Like, where's your head at? Are you like, hey, like I like this idea. Like I'm looking for my next thing. Like, or you're kind of just like, hey, I'm a freshman, gonna just be a freshman, get drunk, do whatever. Like, what was kind of where was your head at there?
Yeah, so I was, honestly more of the latter. Like I was like, okay, it's freshman year. College, you only do it, you only go through college once, especially freshman year, and that's when people have the most fun. And so I was like, okay, I'm gonna have some fun, but also in the back of my mind, I was like still thinking about like recruiting and getting a job. And, you know, I was kind of being a bum for a little bit, honestly. Like I was like, going to frat parties and whatnot.
My boy was having fun.
I was having fun, yeah. But other than the frat parties, like I was also, still trying to recruit, like I said. And the one thing that actually gave me a lot of confidence in, you know, still like working hard is I got an interview for one of the top, trading firms.
Was that Jane Street?
Yeah.
Because I know you did like like an externship or whatever.
Yeah.
What even like is that real, that stuff, or is it more just for your resume?
So it was like a 1 week program.
Oh.
But I actually got the internship interview, which
Oh.
I didn't pass, but I ended up getting that program later on.
Oh, you ended up getting it?
Or I got the externship, which didn't require the interview.
Okay.
But I didn't get the internship, which is like the 3 month summer thing.
Yeah.
I didn't
Hey,
pass the interview. Yeah.
got it on your resume. That's all that matters. So you're like thinking about recruiting, having fun. Like, who'd you room with freshman year? Was that rando, or what was your?
So that's actually another funny story. I was supposed to room with someone, I knew from online. Like, we did a lot of like coding competition stuff together. Like we were friends in the online community, and turns out he was going to Maryland, right? And so we were gonna room together, but then what ended up happening was he got off like the wait list for UMich. And so I got put into like a random portal.
Oh.
And luckily I ended up getting like an amazing roommate. Like we had no problems. I was also, selected in like the best dorm.
Nice.
And so I got really fucking lucky.
That's dope, man. That's dope. And so your roommate, freshman year, great dorm. Was it kind of like a party dorm, or was it more just like a?
I would say it's more like a smart person, like,
Yeah.
dorm. It was like the academic honors program dorm.
Those are like, yeah, I was in that too my freshman year. But honestly, I was jealous of my friends who were in like the party dorms.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I just want to go like,
Party.
yeah. I was party all the time. So freshman year, you're just having fun, figuring it out, like thinking about recruiting. Like I know you had a startup before Bidflow, but like what was that? Didn't you?
Wait, okay. So I had a series of startups. So after my whole party thing, like
How long were you doing that for? A couple, like first quarter or whatever?
yeah, I'd say like month and a half, 2 months.
Yeah.
But then, after Jane Street didn't work out, I was still recruiting for, other companies like, the FANG companies, and, Capital One actually, gave me an offer, around that time. But also during that time, like, I try to visit building a startup. which was actually not that startup, but it was a completely different startup. So basically what happened was I, wanted to build a startup, and I was like, okay, if I want to build a startup, I probably want to raise a good amount of money. But here at Maryland, like, it's much harder to raise than like if you go to a school like Harvard or Stanford,
Berkeley.
Berkeley, something like that, right? And so I was like, okay, maybe I can reach out to like some Stanford kid, and like we can just try to like, you know, try to raise and like whatever.
Yeah.
And so we started off with, this like idea, which, again, completely failed because I had no idea how to fucking run a business. We were doing like, a problem that I personally face, during the recruiting process, which is like preparing for these interviews. So we were trying to use AI to sort of automate or like be a AI tutor for these like interviews.
Okay. For coding specifically.
For coding specifically, but there was just no, I guess, like market pull.
Did you have a full finalized product? Okay,
we had an MVP,
yeah.
but it's just like we tried selling it and like no one wanted it. So
Like what? So you're doing a lot of coding there, and then like doing. Who'd you guys do the outreach to? What was the name
what do you mean?
of the product?
It was called Play-Doh.ai.
It's probably a pretty good big name now. Like if you own the domain rights.
Maybe, man.
That's anything.ai.
Yeah.
It's like the Allbirds. Allbirds AI company. Or yeah, it's Allbirds, right? Like the shoe company.
No.
No, just in the news recently, it's like kind of like the white guide shoe company that you wear like to, your typical finance shoe that's like kind of athletic. They like were failing in the public markets as like a consumer brand, but then they just like rebranded to an AI startup, and the stocks like shot up like I think 900% or something.
Damn.
Yeah. So okay, so you had the one, AI tutoring one that didn't work. When did you realize where it's like, okay, I'm gonna stop doing this?
I think around that time, we were trying to raise a lot of money, and like we were just getting no's left and right, and also like we try to, get this product in front of people, and like everyone was just saying like, everyone was basically just saying like this isn't like useful for me.
Wait, so what like in generally speaking, like what, not in a rude way, but like what made you think that, hey, you could go to VCs and they'll give you money? Was it just like, hey, like I've seen other people do it?
I've seen other people do it, and I was pretty delusional.
Hey,
Yeah.
I love
To
it.
be honest.
I love it. Like that's what you need, where it's like, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like obviously, like I feel like I hear so many different entrepreneurs where it's like, they go to 100 VCs and all of them say no, but one of them says yes. And
Exactly. And we're, hoping to get that one.
yeah. How many did you pitch to?
Oh man, that's probably like 100.
Really?
Yeah.
Any that were close?
I would say I'd say not really.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, so that one failed. What time is this like within the year?
I would say like mid-October to end of December.
Okay. So that's when you're working on that, and then, decide to quit that. Like what is...
Or we just had to pivot. And so one thing I didn't mention was, I got the Stanford guy, but also my current co-founder, Gotham, was also working with us on that, interview tutor thing. And so we were technically 3 co-founders, but he was more of like an engineer than like a co-founder at the time. And
Yeah.
so it was just me and the Stanford guy. And
How do you split up to like equity talks? Like did you guys even get to that, or?
yeah, I mean, we had like a C Corp and everything. Like me and this guy had like 47.5, and then Gotham had like 5%.
Oh, makes sense. It's like, I know that's always like an interesting topic. Like one of my other friends, shout out to Shank if you're listening. He's his startup's Nirvana AI. It's like a robotics company, and it's like a talent war to get good robotics people. A lot of it's like getting equity as comp, as like that's going to be the highest upside.
Equity is definitely a great incentive.
Exactly. That's what all the the PE firms do to get their CEOs working hard, so they can get some good exits, hopefully. Okay, so now you guys decide to pivot. It's the Stanford guy, and how did you meet the Stanford guy?
I like cold DM'd him on like LinkedIn.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
And he's still talking to him today?
We'll get to that part later.
Okay, so now you guys decide to pivot. You, Gotham, and the Stanford guy.
Yeah, and we were, looking into other, ideas, but this time we were trying to get, more validation before we built anything out. And so we were honestly like, okay, like what's instead of like doing something like consumer facing, because that's what like my two previous ones were, I was thinking about like some B2B ideas, right? But we didn't want to be like one of those like copycat like B2B SaaS like rappers. And so we're like, okay, honestly, instead of being one of those like AI, for blah blah, why don't we be maybe like some sort of like data platform? Because data seems to be,
Hot.
very hot, right? And so we were trying to pivot into that. And, there was market demand, but the issue was like we didn't have the connections and like we had like no idea how to like fucking execute on that.
So you guys did do like a data startup?
We're like,
Or is that what you were thinking about? Just
no,
like,
we actually ended up doing that for like 3 months.
oh, really?
Yeah, but
What was that? What was the idea? Like,
we were trying to build like a platform to get coding data
okay.
because like a lot of these models are like trying to get better at like coding,
Mm-hmm.
and so we were like looking into that kind of stuff, and you know, this is also when I started like going to San Francisco
Yeah.
and like meeting more people, and, like trying to validate this further, and getting the meetings, and we ended up getting like one customer, pretty low, a very low paying customer, but you know,
How
it,
much did they pay?
they were paying like $100.
Hey, I mean, that's someone giving you $100. Like,
Yeah, so we're like, okay, shit, like maybe this can be taken further, but they were actually a smaller company, and we just didn't have the connections with the big companies who would, you know, who need this the most.
yeah. So you have like, what the one client, what they think about the product.
I mean, they were pretty happy with the data, and like we were, going to continue to do it more, but like we personally didn't believe that like we could actually execute on this, and so we pivoted again.
Okay, so now what's the new pivot?
So that's
And this is all new, different companies?
these are under the same name, so
Oh.
we still call it Play.ai.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Cool.
So with the new company, right, we were, looking at like more of our problems throughout like building out, the data annotation thing, and also, the original Play.ai. We were, thinking about what problems we had, and like the problem that we had the most was like, you know, finding bugs in our software because we were shipping bugs to people. We were having trouble testing, pretty accurately. Testing took a very long time. And we're like, okay, like honestly, if there's a way for us to speed that up, this would actually save a lot of people, time.
Well, wait, can you explain to the audience, like, what is a bug in software?
A bug in software is like, let's say like a button doesn't work.
Okay. So it's like, hey, you want to click here and it doesn't work.
Yeah, or say you want to like add your credit card, but for some reason it doesn't work.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Just wanted to, for the people that don't know.
Yeah.
Because people might not be as, I mean, I think everyone knows what a bug in software is, but
Yeah.
it doesn't hurt to explain.
Yeah.
Teaching is the ultimate understanding. So you guys were thinking about that, and it's going good. Yeah, this is the new idea.
This is a new idea. We were, messaging a lot of people to kind of figure out like, is this like, something that we want to do, right? It like is like a validated problem, and like we were, seeing signs that it was, and so we built this out. And around that same time,
Are you guys just vibe coding a lot, or is it like
at the time, yeah, we were vibe coding everything.
really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. What do you guys use to vibe code? So obviously you're using Claude Cowork. Are you using the anti-gravity at all? Like,
No, we're using Cursor,
okay, Cursor.
Claude Code, Codex a little bit.
Okay.
Mostly just Cursor and Claude Code.
Cursor's on, what is Cursor? That's on Perplexity, right?
No, Cursor's it's
It's his own. Okay. And then Codex is ChatGPT's.
Yeah.
Okay. What's the best one you've found?
I'd say Claude Code is like fucking crazy, man.
I did it. It's crazy. I showed you the website for Salt Creek Advisory, and it's like,
Use Claude Code for that, or?
yeah, everything.
I would say for like websites, like UI design, Cursor's probably better, but like for backend stuff, like Claude Code's fucking good.
It is crazy, dude. So you guys have this, now you're running with this idea.
Mhm.
It's all vibe coded, and now you're getting serious. The learnings are validated. What do you guys do now?
So around the same time, we ended up getting an interview for Y Combinator.
For this startup.
for this startup
Okay.
in the spring batch. And we're like, holy fucking shit. Because, like, I was, in Berkeley or SF at the time. I got the interview email. And I was like, holy shit. But I did not expect this because, like, we were getting, like, absolutely cooked for the first, like, 2 times we applied.
Yeah.
And for those of you who don't know why Combinator is, they, give $500,000, 500, yeah, K for 7% of your company. And it is one of the most prestigious accelerators in the world, probably the most prestigious one.
Yeah, for sure.
They were the first investors of companies like Stripe, Airbnb, DoorDash, Instacart, Scale AI, and even like OpenAI surprisingly came out of YC.
Really? Wow.
Like it kind of like YC does have like equity in it because Sam Altman, he was the president of YC when they first started.
Yeah, I mean, who knows with open eyes like ownership structure, it seems like the most like complicated thing ever. Like I think they just raised what? Like I think they're valued
billion or something.
I think they're at like an $870 billion valuation, which
Yeah.
it's crazy. It's crazy to think SpaceX is even worth more than them, which is crazy.
I mean, if you have Elon Musk,
Yeah, I know. That's where all my investments are. Anything Tesla related. That's my number one. So you guys get the YC interview. You're like, holy shit! Like, I'm freaking out.
Yeah. And then, we were like preparing for that and we were like doing that for a solid 2 days. And this was like around spring break for me.
Okay.
And so we were preparing for a YC interview and, we did the interview. Me and the Stanford guy, we actually met in person in SF in an office. We took it. And YC, when you do an interview, like they give you a call or like an email if you got rejected or a call if you got in on the same day. So it was like fucking nerve-wracking that day.
Probably just like so stressed till after you get that call.
Yeah. And so I was, hanging out with some other friends that I met in SF, and I was like actually crashing out at their place. And so I was hanging out with them, and then I got an email from YC. They said, fortunately, this idea is pretty early. I don't think, you'll be accepted to spring batch. So I was like, fuck, we're fucking close.
Fuck.
Because we got the email pretty late, and like, if you get it earlier, then like, it means like a complete no.
Oh, wow. Oh, so you're like one of the last ones to get
the no.
Oh.
So we're on the edge, and we're like, shit.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But after that week, I had the Jane Street externship program. It's called, FTDP.
Is it like real? I feel like most externships are fake.
It's actually a real one because like everyone there is like fucking smart.
Yeah.
They're all like there's a lot of MIT people.
Yeah.
I didn't see anyone from like some fuck ass schools.
I love it, bro. Hey, you were there. You're hustling. I think it's literally all about the hustle. Like
I know people that are, really like people smarter than me got rejected from that shit. So yeah,
that's crazy. So you guys got rejected. You're not doing the externship with Jane Street
here in New York. They paid for a hotel.
Oh, so this was in person actually. So it was real.
It was real.
I wasn't sure if it was like one of those remote ones that's like fake.
Nah, they flew me out to New York from SF. They gave me like free hotel for a week. They gave me a stipend as well.
Wait, so you're still at Maryland at this time, right?
I was still at Maryland at this time.
But you're just doing remote classes, I'm guessing?
Well, no, I was like skipping class, man. I didn't go to a single class the entire year.
Wow.
I only went for I skipped like one midterm actually.
Who cares?
Yeah, I didn't give a fuck at this point, man.
You're like, hey, do your parents know that? Like, did they know that? Like,
yeah, they saw my first semester grades.
Really? What were they?
I mean, dude, it was like a 3.2 GPA. It was atrocious, bro.
It's like crazy because it's like in college, like they pretty much don't want you to fail.
Yeah. But I was like trying to do, honestly.
Why? Did your parents know? Like, were they supportive of you, like, for the startups and stuff?
I mean, they're at the time no, because like they're like, yo, you gotta get a job. Like, if your grades are shit, like you're probably not gonna get a job. I was like, yo, listen, I have an internship now. I don't gotta worry about this. Let me just like focus on this.
Yeah.
So yeah, my parents were pretty fucking pissed.
Yeah, I mean that's fair too. Like I know it seems like you probably got a good scholarship, but even if they're paying anything, like
actually I had to pay it out of my own pocket.
Really, how much did you have to pay?
It's like $30K a year in debt.
Oh my god, dude, that's like crazy. to think that like, bro, like I'm so blessed. Shout out my parents. But like, dude, if I didn't have them, dude, like there's no shot I would have gone to college. You know, like that's ridiculously expensive and like not being rude to Maryland, but like a degree from there, like it's not even going to get you a job that's going to be able to pay that debt down, you know?
Exactly. So it was very like
Well, any school for that matter, you know, 30K is a lot of money.
yeah,
Like,
times like I mean I had like 2.5 years. So that was like my thinking. I was like, okay, like
90K or 70K in debt.
yeah, and then like if I save up, if I get a good job, I can probably pay it off. But at the time, I was like, fuck college, man. Like I'm paying this much in debt. The parties are getting boring as shit. I got Capital One, but like I want something, better. I want to chase something bigger, and that's something that like Thomas Jefferson has, instilled in me, like wanting to, you know, go for something better.
Yeah.
Achieve higher, higher, and higher.
100%.
And so, I was doing the externship at Jane Street, met some, pretty cool friends. Was in New York City for a week. It's pretty fucking nice.
Yeah. They treat you nice.
They treated me nice.
So after the externship, what's the plan?
So I went back to Maryland, just like doing absolute jack shit, and then I ended up flying back to SF, I think, because I was like meeting some friends. So at the time, I was actually probably spending more time in SF than at Maryland.
Fair.
Because I was like flying back and forth and making connections, meeting new people. And so
How'd you have the money to do that? Just cheap flights?
like I said, I had a tutoring business, and I continued doing that for a while. So I was making money there.
Hey, exactly. If it's your money, do whatever you want with it.
Yeah. So I was flying in and out, and this is where things got a little,
Dicey.
a little rough. So, the Stanford guy, right? We met pretty, I'd say inauthentically, and we weren't like boys. I mean, we became friends. We met a few times for sure,
Yeah.
but he just didn't see himself like contributing that much. He just didn't see this company moving. He didn't believe in it anymore, and he also didn't think that was best for him. And so he gave me a call, and he was like, "Look, I had fun working with you, and this was great and all, but I want to move on to something else. Not like a different startup, but I just want to take a break from all this. Like, I don't think this is like right for me." And I'm gonna let the man be. There's nothing I can't like say like, "Yo, please stay." I'm not gonna like beg him.
I'm not simping for anyone.
I'm not simping for anyone. Exactly. So I'm like, okay, go. Like, good luck, man. Good luck with whatever.
Did you still have equity in the business?
No.
No.
He gave up his equity.
I mean, that's fair.
So, because like vesting schedule,
True.
And so at the time we were like, okay, fuck this. And I was working on the whole like testing thing, but at the time, because of the whole co-founder breakup, it was pretty rough, right? I was just like, okay, maybe I just need to focus on school. My grades are actually way worse this semester because I wasn't even at Maryland like half the time.
Yeah.
They were worse in first semester, so I was like, okay, let me lock in on like my grades, for a little bit. And I think I forget what happened. Maybe I like went out one day and like by going out I mean like I went to a party and I was like, fuck all this, bro. I gotta like make it out of school.
Yeah.
I just had that thought, like even though this co-founder guy left, like I was still able to operate the business. I was like doing most of the work anyway. So I was like, I believe in myself. I don't want to be in fucking school anymore. Like we got a little bit of funding by the way at the time, like 30K ish. So I was like,
From who?
some random like angel investor.
How did you meet him?
He just like has like application portal where
You can apply.
you apply and it's for like college students, and like he liked our vibe, and I was like, okay, with that 30K, why don't I be frugal, and like next semester I don't want to be in college, like, I'm gonna like figure something out, be an SF, do whatever it takes to like make it out. And so I was trying to I had that mindset, and like I was back on start mode. And then I was like, okay, honestly, if I were to even do this, like I can't do it alone, right? If I were to raise money from a VC, I need a co-founder. If I were to do anything, and a co-founder. And I decided to ask Gotham because he was the one guy who's been with me throughout that entire journey. He's been contributing, and seems like he doesn't want to be in school either. So we've known each other since middle school, and so it just made sense. Like me and him, perfect co-founder match. We're like boys. We're not gonna have the same issues. So he became the new co-founder, gave him the equity split, and then we pursued that. We continued pursuing, and then we applied to YC. We're like, okay, like honestly, we haven't made too much progress, but for whatever, like
Why not?
why not? Just for shits and giggles.
Yeah.
I applied to YC, and then I remember like this was right before my finals. I was like studying for my finals.
Yeah.
And I was taking a shit, right? And I got the email for the interview, and they said they're actually flying us out to SF for an in-person interview. I was like, oh shit, like yo, is this like like this is like crazy because the first one was virtual.
Yeah.
So we're like, shit.
Is this for Bidflow or same company?
For Play-Doh.
Okay, Play-Doh.
So we're like, oh my fucking god, like we didn't even do that much, but somehow we got a YC interview. We got fucking lucky. This might be our sign.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I had finals. So I was like, shit, what do I prioritize more? Finals or this thing? And I chose this thing.
Hey. And how did that interview go?
I mean, let's talk about the finals part first.
Oh, finals.
I did fucking terrible. Like, I did one final in like 20 minutes because I had a flight the next, like on the same day.
Oh, really?
So finals went horrible. Because I was focusing on preparing for the interview. We got flown out. And bro, some crazy signs were happening, bro, that we'd actually like get in. First of all, there's a lady who was sitting right next to me in Gotham on the plane. And she was working at like this tech company who, they were like YC something back in the day, and we were, talking about what we were building, and like she was telling me that like this is something that they'd actually be interested in. So potential, customer, keep in mind they were a YC company, so that was a sign there. And then YC, they also paid for our,
Everything.
Like everything, like Airbnb and all that stuff. So like we basically, from the airport, me and Gotham, we were at night and we were taking the Uber to our Airbnb. And we saw a sign on like the post boards or whatever for like YC. And we're like, shit, yo, is this a sign? At that time, we were tired as fuck. Like, we did not think that we'd do well in the interview.
Yeah.
Just based on like how I know how the interview goes because I already did one at the time.
Yeah.
The Stanford guy.
What are they like?
It's 10 minutes. It's 10 minutes. It's rapid fire. You have to answer very concisely.
Really? I mean, simplicity is the ultimate sophistication.
Correct.
That's crazy. Like, what's the question?
Like, for example, like, what are you building? You have to answer that in one sentence.
Wow.
Like, how are you getting your customers? I would say cold calling. Like, you can't say, oh, so, we cold call, we go through a list of people on LinkedIn and then we cold call. You can't say that. You just say, we cold call them.
Simple.
Yeah.
That's cool. So you end up, interview went good.
Interview, we had mixed feelings.
Really?
And then, we're like, shit, bro, we're probably not gonna get it. I mean, I risked, my finals for this. I'm like, fuck, bro, like we probably like, we did well.
Yeah.
And then, on the same day, I was also supposed to meet some friends from, the ones I know from Bay Area. Like I was gonna go and, meet them. But unfortunately, the train to, where they were, because like there's like San Francisco and then there's San Jose, which is like an hour south of SF. The train from A to B, like there was like some sort of accident there. So the train got pretty much fucked. But I was like looking at one of my friend's locations and he was at Berkeley, but the train from SF to Berkeley was not fucked.
Really? So you went to Berkeley?
I went to Berkeley and I hit him up. I was like, yo, I'm gonna meet these guys, and like we're all friends, by the way. So I'm like, I'm gonna meet these guys. You should just tag along. Yeah, I might need a ride back down because like, the train's
messed up. Yeah.
But on my train from SF to Berkeley, I got a call from an unknown number.
Were you freaking out?
I was freaking out. It was from like Portland, Oregon.
Oh,
And they're like, "Hey, is this Jesse?" I'm like, "Hi, who is this?" And they're like, "Oh, this is no, my partner's name is Ankit." So he's like, "Hey, this is Ankit from YC. Do you have is your co-founder with you?" I was like, "No," because like Gotham didn't know those friends. But I was like on the train alone, and he's like, well, do you have a minute, or is now a good time?" I was like, "Yeah, you can, I think that was actually a good time.
that was a great time.
That's a great time." And they called me and they said, "You're accepted."
Wow.
And they're like, "Do you want to take the offer?" I'm like, "Fuck yeah."
Is the Pope Catholic?
Yeah.
Is the sun bright?
Yeah. Sky blue.
Is the bear shit in the woods?
Yeah.
So that must have been crazy.
Crazy.
And that's for Play-Doh AI.
That's for Play-Doh AI. When we were practically in the mud.
Wow. Okay, so you get in. Now, like,
I have to drop out of school.
you have to.
Yeah.
Like, you have to, right? Like,
Or like, they make you kind of.
yeah, you probably could, like, use a letter of, right? Or, like, resignation or whatever. So, this is what, literally last year, right? At this time?
Yeah.
So what? This is April. That's incredible, man. And so you're doing Bidflow now. How did you kind of get to that?
Yeah, so I did YC, tried to do this testing idea. Actually continued that for quite a long time.
And what's YC like, just for the audience? Like, and even for me, I don't know.
Yeah, so it's, 150-ish companies, all, scattered in the same area in San Francisco. It's a 3-month long program for the entire summer. And basically every single week you have your partner who meets with you and gives you feedback and asks, for progress. And you have that's called like office hours. And you basically do this until this thing called demo day. And demo day is where you pitch to a bunch of investors, and that's when you raise your seed round. And YC, biggest function is to help you raise your seed round.
That makes sense.
So, it's just like a 3-month sprint to maximize your revenue till demo day, and make sure you're ready to.
How much did you guys get your revenue to?
We got to like $13K a month.
Oh wow, it's a lot of money, dude.
Yeah.
Like to think like could have a decent life just living off 13K.
Yeah.
Did the product get better?
Yeah, it was getting better, but then people started like using it less, and then like some people started canceling, and then also raising didn't go too well like with investors because it was a very crowded market, and it was very hard to differentiate between like us versus like other competitors. And so we're like, okay, honestly, this does not seem like it's for us. And raising didn't go well.
Did you get any money raised or what?
Yeah, we got a little bit, but like it wasn't like 500K on top of the YC.
Oh, so like $1 million raised.
Yeah, but
that's pretty insane for what? You're probably 18 at this time.
Yeah, I was actually 18 at the time.
That's crazy, dude. Like a lot of these people don't even like. A lot of people never even get $1 million. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm. So I was like, okay, this is like not for us. And so, we were at the time actually like it was my birthday-ish. So it's like September. And I was like, okay, I gotta like take a break from all this shit because like I was like burned out.
Yeah.
Just like grinding, taking all these investor calls, customer calls, like it was stressful, So I was like, okay, I gotta take a break, and so I decided to go to Cabo. And I had some fun there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The Rio.
Yeah. Rio Hotel.
Pool party.
Yeah, pool party. It was fun. And then I was like, okay, back to work. But right now we had no fucking idea what we were trying to do. So we were like exploring different ideas. Right?
And this is where Bidflow comes.
Bidflow comes a little later. So we were exploring like something in like government.
How do you even come up with these ideas?
Well, we try to like figure out like an audience.
Yeah.
Before anything. We just gotta pick an audience. And once we pick an audience, we try to figure out what their problems are.
Mm.
And so what we ended up doing was like between October to November, we were just experimenting with a bunch of different audiences, cold calling people, just figuring out like what people's pain points are, because our main expertise was like for tech people, but we just didn't want to sell to tech people anymore because it's fucking boring. It's fucking nerdy.
Fair.
So we're like, okay, what can we do? And we experiment with different things, government contractors, trying to do something like for like tax accountants at some point. Like we were fucking lost, but we were
Just doing anything.
Then late December came around, or like I'd say mid-December came around, and we landed on the electrician idea because, my dad, he's an electrician.
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, honestly, we gotta do something where we have some sort of like advantage in, because if we were just to sell to like some like, let's say firefighters, like if we don't know any firefighters, like how are we gonna sell to them, right?
Yeah.
So we're like, okay, honestly, let's like pick this niche, electricians, because we seem to have some sort of leverage here. And then I started asking my dad. I started asking people in SF. I was like, dad's going like door to door
To look electricians?
Yeah,
Oh wow.
and trying to figure out what their problems are. And the problem that we ended up landing on was estimating, because that's something that's very tedious, very repetitive, and it could be automated by AI. And so that's where Bidflow started. We're like, okay, we don't want to. At the time, by the way, like between Plato.ai, like the whole like testing thing, like we changed our name during like YC to Ghost Ship, but we didn't want to do Ghost Ship anymore.
Okay.
We're like, okay, let's do Bidflow. We have a new company, new idea. Let's like,
Do they get equity in that?
who?
YC.
It's the same C corp.
Okay.
It's just like product name is different.
Okay. So they're investors in that.
We're still backed by YC.
And then the other 500K.
Yeah, they still have it too.
Do you pay yourself at all?
Like a little bit, but like honestly,
It's like you've got to reinvest everything.
yeah, we're trying to
Like there's no point until you're cash flowing.
exactly, and then we're just gonna use like company expenses for most of the stuff.
Oh yeah. Food.
Tax write-offs,
You know how it goes.
Yeah.
Grant Cardone.
Yeah.
Okay, so Bidflow, you come up with it now, and like you're like, hey,
We did a lot of validating for like a month,
really?
and we're like, okay, how does this fucking work? Because we had no idea, and we were just learning, right?
Yeah.
Learning about the industry, learning about like how things work. My dad was telling me stuff, obviously the people we were going door to door to. But then, when I was in SF, I was like, okay, honestly, going door to door, like it's like pretty hard, because you need a car to like really go to where most electricians are,
Yeah.
which is just, in San Jose. And so we didn't really want to like stay in SF, because, it was just like not enough people or potential customers that are within our size, and it was like harder to get them because we needed a car. And so, and we were pretty miserable at SF because everyone's in tech.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so, SF is very miserable. And
Ireland's pretty though.
it's pretty, but like, there's nothing to do.
Fair. Bunch of nerds.
Bunch of nerds.
Yeah.
And like, the gender ratio is horrible.
Yeah, unless you like, yeah. Makes total sense.
Cooked.
So you decided New York.
New York, like, quality of life, but also better for a company because
Electrician.
higher
building,
living. Yeah, there's a lot of buildings, a lot of
construction.
construction here. And it's easier to access, people.
Closer for you too.
Exactly. And so we're like, okay, let's do this New York thing. And so, we started to continue validating this idea in New York, because we're like, okay, maybe this might just be an SF thing. We just want to make sure, right? So we were spending like 2 weeks validating. I was going door to door in fucking cold ass January. Do you remember that?
That was so brutal, dude.
It was brutal, but I was walking around
It's so nice.
in a puffer coat,
I probably like, get out of my face, kid.
Yeah. I mean, some people were actually like, I respect it.
Oh yeah, I bet. I mean, it's like I'm 19. I'm knocking on your door, like.
Some people were actually receptive to doing it. And so we were, at the time, my co-founder, he was building up the product, and we were showing people, and, we've been iterating ever since. And right now, you have, customers / like design partners, but the product isn't like ready to sell to a lot of people,
Wait, so how does it work exactly?
So let me tell you a bit about like estimating
Yeah.
and, electrical construction. So essentially how it works is there's a bunch of different electrical contractors, or electrical contractors are basically electrician businesses. And there's a bunch of different electrical contractors who try to get the same, job. So let's say they want to like fix some lighting and, some power stuff on a random like floor
Yeah.
on like some high rise, right? It's a very competitive bidding process,
Mm-hmm.
but it's competitive, but they gotta make sure that, it's competitive based on like price usually, but it's all about finding the price that gives them the highest profit, but wins them the job. That's what it's about.
It's like optimizing right in that green spot.
Exactly. And, you know, it's also pretty luck based, kind of like relationship based, but essentially the idea is like the more, bids or estimates you do, the better, or like the higher your revenue will be.
Makes sense. Bid on enough stuff.
It's like the numbers game, ball game. But the issue is like we have to make sure it's like really accurate.
Yeah, like down to.
Yeah, because that can make the difference. Like a few $1,000s will make a difference for them.
Yeah. And so how are they doing it normally?
They print out these like large ass blueprints.
Yeah.
Because like they have to do estimates using like blueprints. They have to figure out like how many lights are there. It's a bunch of symbols all scattered around. It's very complicated. And they print out these large blueprints, and they have to go in and manually count, all these different symbols. Like there's like thousands of these symbols, and it's very small text. So it's tedious.
It seems brutal.
It is brutal, but they have to make sure they do it right.
So you guys, your product automates all that. Ideally.
Yep.
That's awesome. And just saves them, like, how much time would it save them in money? Like, realistically, if your product was working as, to a T, like what it will be in the future, like how much money am I going to save?
Yeah. So typically it takes like a few hours to a few, days.
The AI?
No.
Oh, the manual.
Manual.
Yeah.
I'd say a few hours. So I'd say
Makes sense.
for like a medium-sized project, it will take like 4 hours to do it by hand. And the hourly salary for an estimator is $50 an hour in New York City.
Oh, wow.
So we'd be saving them $200 per project. And we're charging them like less than like 30% of that. So saving them a good amount of money.
Yeah. And then they can bid more.
They can bid more.
If they do need like a estimator on a huge project, they can, use an estimator, if they really have to instead of.
Or the estimator would use our AI to make them a lot faster. It's like a co-pilot, not like they just feed it in and wait for it, and then it's like, voila, like, I see all this stuff, like, I'm just going to trust it.
Yeah. No, that's dope. And how's it been going? I know you said the products, you've had your pitfalls, but, going in the right direction. Like,
I would say, yeah. Customers seem to be finding value in it. They seem to be using it without us prompting them to, which is, great.
mm-hmm.
It is saving them time. It's just like not fully, trustworthy yet, because the reliability, accuracy, it matters a lot, right? It could save if we, mess something up, they could lose like thousands of dollars. So you have to make sure it's
hurts their margins and just And how does it get better? How do you make it better?
Train it more. You have to use
more blueprints.
Make the models, better.
Could you like ask like a huge development company for their blueprints? Would they do that?
They probably wouldn't, because a lot of them are, NDA.
Oh, makes sense. I mean, if you could get like a contract with one of them and just be like, hey, like, you can train my model, I'll give you your product for, cheaper. I don't know if they would do that.
The other thing is we have to label the data too, so that takes a very long time.
Do you use AI for that, or is that?
I mean, we use AI to help us with it, like 90-something% of the way, but like that last 5% is always hard.
Yeah, I bet, man. That's super exciting. I mean, so like you guys are making some progress. It's getting products.
Making revenue, yeah.
Well, how much revenue are you making?
We're making around like $5K a month.
Wow. I mean, that's a lot of money. Like, It's crazy to think like people are giving you $5,000 a month. Like
Hmm.
that was like a little less than my salary, like a little more, a little yeah, a little probably a little less like after taxes, which is crazy to think about. And are these all New York City contractors?
All New York City.
Cool, cool. And like I guess like so you're focusing a lot right now on coding and
Just making the shit work.
like how does like I honestly don't even understand like how does coding it make it better? Like is it just like what exactly is that?
We're trying to use, we're trying to do coding to run a bunch of experiments with different, models because like training our own will take a very long time. And so we're trying to figure out like, okay, how do we do it with maybe the existing models like ChatGPT's models or like Claude's models or Gemini's models, right? Like we're trying to use existing models and trying to see if there's a way to like use some techniques plus the existing models to try to get something like really good.
Hmm.
That's why I'm spending my time coding.
Yeah. No, that makes total sense, man. What's the competition look like for like the competitors? Is there like a direct competitor to you?
Yeah, we have a very direct competitor. They've been around for a year and a half. I think they're at like a million AR.
Oh wow, pretty big.
But I think they've had some, struggles in the beginning with like their product just not being reliable, and then like words kind of spread, and we don't want to be in that situation. Like a bad reputation.
Yeah, because it's like if you can't trust it, it's like doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
So how do you just do that by making the product better and everything?
Yep.
Are like the ones that are using your product now, are they all like using your competitor too?
They're not using my competitor. Well, actually, one guy is, but he doesn't really use it that much either.
Really?
He actually uses our thing more.
I wonder why.
I think it's because like our thing.
How do you guys differentiate yourself?
Our thing's like more accurate, actually.
Really?
Yeah. And they've been around for a while, so
Just like kind of a brand name.
yeah.
That's cool, man. That's cool. What else? What else do you have planned? Like I know I'm leaving in New York, in June, but what do you got for the next, couple months, summer? Like any goals you guys want to hit?
Yeah. So we're, first of all, our biggest bottleneck has been like, getting the product to good enough, standpoint, and so we want to get there before summer starts. Like ideally, like start of May, just something like ready to ship to a fuck ton of people because we have like go to market unlocked because like I've made some pretty good connections. It's just all about like delivering, and so once we have that, I think scaling from 5K a month to like a million a month won't be too hard.
Really?
Yeah, it's just all about getting the product to work.
Awesome, man. Well, that's super exciting. It's been great getting to know you, and really appreciate you coming on and hearing your story, dude. It's dope. I'm cheering you on, and can't wait to see you guys get to that million in ARR. In the next 6 to 12 months, man.
Thank you, bro, and thanks for all the support back when you were with your old company. Yeah, it was really fun meeting you. And we had some fun. We had a funny moment where I got caught sleeping in the office.
Yeah. That's just the startup stories you need, though.
Yeah,
that's so funny. The photo of you. I was thinking, yeah.
How did you get the photo?
They sent it to like the admin team there. So
wait, why did they show you?
That was like to one of the partners. And I saw a note. I was just dying laughing. Bro, you need you need an eye mask.
Yeah.
You need an eye mask. Well, awesome, man. Well, thanks so much for coming on, and we'll wrap it up here.
Awesome, man.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Nice.